What?
Go.
Oh, I got a real good.
You.
There we go.
Are we live?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Technical difficulties. Not as bad as that one day, though, that was horrible. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Coffee and Crypto Live Show. I am your host, Tim, and it's going to be a great show today. A very interesting show, for sure, because you guys know I love me some technical analysis, and we're going to do some technical analysis. But there's something bigger we got to discuss, and you might have seen it right there in the title. Vitalik Buterin is out here spreading FUD about Bitcoin. We're going to be diving into that and a whole lot more. It's really interesting because pretty much what he is doing is bringing back up the debate of proof of work versus proof of stake. What are his intentions? Is this pure? Is he actually just trying to help people, or is he potentially just diverting some attention away from himself and maybe some negative backlash he's gotten about Ethereum's move to proof of stake from some of the Ethereum miners? We're going to discuss that later on in the show in good detail because there's a lot of different things we got to deal with this, and I'm afraid that a lot of people are going to be flooding out of Bitcoin simply because of some of the remarks he made. We're going to examine them in detail and help you guys stay confident. By the way, we don't want this to become a Bitcoin versus Ethereum thing, and I really hope that's not what Vitalik wanted either. We still support Ethereum. We support Bitcoin. We support Cardano. There's a lot of projects we support. This should not be a this coin versus this coin. It should be a let's get the crypto space here, relevant, working, popping, so that we can make this world a better place and take back authority from centralized systems. So if you guys love that conversation, make sure you stay tuned for the rest of the show. Go ahead and smash that like button. We got over 150 people watching right now. Smack that like button. I am joined by two of the greatest co-hosts in all of crypto. And so I got T-Shroom over here to my right. How you doing this morning, T-Shroom?
Really great.
Boom. Short and sweet. Smay, how you doing over here? He's to my left.
I'm having trouble with the buttons. Yeah. I've got to be honest with you. I'm having trouble. I'm doing something new because, guys, guess what? We're live on Twitch as well. Woo! So for our one viewer watching on Twitch, shout out to you, guy. Shout out to you. And then shout out to everybody else. But guys, if you prefer to watch on Twitch, go watch on Twitch. It's up to you now. You can watch on Twitch. Facebook is coming soon, so we'll be live on Facebook too. So look forward to that.
Yes, Smay, how are you feeling after last night?
I enjoyed Lord of the Rings. That's what I enjoyed. So.
I'm glad you enjoyed the show because I'll tell you this. I told him this morning. I don't like West Virginia. West Virginia deserved to win that game. If you guys are football fans and you watched that game, West Virginia should have won. Pittsburgh looked very sloppy. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but that's what I'm going to say on that issue. I am sorry, Smay, but, go Hokies. We're going to go ahead and jump in just a second into our market pulse. But before we do that, we want to read all of those green names, those fantastic green names that are our community, our members that make us the greatest crypto membership and greatest crypto community in the entire world. Smay, go ahead and take it away and read us our green names.
Oh, boy. I would love to read green names. We have Mitchell, GS, I'm the holder, Mitchell, Elliot Locke. Sultan of Salt, Elliot Locke, Agent Gold, Elliot Locke, Salt. All right, hold on. I need to find new green names here. I'm in a pool of the same green names. Crypto Alchemist, Mellow Fellow, Crypto Ben Franklin. Who else we got here? Grand Roofing Incorporated, Adam Rorick, Win Peoples, and Justin Eubanks. And for our blue names, we got Matt C, we got CryptoSec Guy, we got Shannon Sharp, who's a blue name on basically every channel. So shout out to you.
Yeah, I was about to say, Shannon Sharp is winning the bear market for sure. Out of curiosity, Shannon, what channels do you not moderate for? Because I'm not finding a lot of them out there that you don't have a blue name over on their channel. So you are the OG. You are the greatest moderator in all of crypto, and I'm so lucky that we have you over here. But with that being said, we are about to jump into our market pulse. But before we go there, it is brought to you today by Anthony Price. May go ahead and tell the people all about Anthony Price.
Well, gee, I would love to tell people about Anthony Price. Anthony Price is a CPA who knows crypto.
Really?
What else could you want? Taxes are a pain. The IRS is a pain. The IRS just hired 87,000 more people to hunt down your taxes. So guys, what do you need? You need a superhero like Anthony Price who knows crypto taxes. And he knows how to keep your money to you and saving your money with crypto taxes. So do it. Sign up for a free 15 to 20 minute consultation. Link in the description. Thank you.
You heard him. If you want to keep your money to you, go get Anthony Price. All right, let's go ahead and dive into our market pulse. By the way, just in case you guys are wondering, T-Shroom's not going to be talking about Vitalik in the market pulse because that will be in the discussion section. With that being said, though, go ahead and take it away, T-Shroom.
If you're listening to the sound of my voice, it's because you're in the market pulse, baby. Let's do it. The fear and greed index.
Oh, sorry. You didn't tell me for 10 minutes to go on your screen.
Oh, hey, and would you please go to my screen, please?
All right, there we go.
Thank you. Smay, the little trickster. Yeah, the fear and greed index is doing a little bit better from yesterday. Yesterday was at 20. Today is at 25, so it is retraced some of those losses, so to speak, and we are in less fearful territory than yesterday, but more fearful territory than last week. As you can see down here, we were at 27, so things have deteriorated, but they're slowly improving. The Fed rate, pretty much unchanged. Not going to go through that too much because we're going to talk a little bit about the unemployment rate, which disappointed. It missed, which is actually bullish, but I don't think that it's going to really do much. Unfortunately, this isn't really much of a tick to the downside for unemployment. So, but the non-farm payroll added more jobs than what was forecasted, but less jobs than last time, the revision of last month. So the job market pretty much looking about the same, maybe a little bit worse, but they kind of even out. Tim, what do you think about these jobs?
I think that, that I was looking at the number 3.7. That is not significant. Yes, it is up. Yes, that means that we're not as good as we were last month. But we talked about this before, and I'm going to keep this nice and short and sweet. Without a massive jump in unemployment, this will not affect the Fed and Jerome Powell whatsoever. So I actually think that this is an aiding of the bearish pressure on the top of crypto that gives the Fed more power to say the economy is not that bad. We need to tackle inflation. So take that information, continue to extrapolate it, but this is as a whole actually probably bearish for the crypto space.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving along, we're going to hop into our stories here. We've got a decent amount of them, a thick market pulse today. DeFi exchange Kuiper Swap suffers 265 thou front-end exploit. So that's not good. This is meaning that the DeFi exploits are continuing, as the FBI told us about this week, that the DeFi platforms are being disproportionately targeted for exploitation by hackers. On Friday, the Kuiper network, the liquidity protocol in which Kuiper Swap is built, confirmed reports adding that the attack on its website was quickly identified and fixed within hours, but the thieves were able to compromise the app's front end through a Google Tag Manager script. So if you're a blockchain dev and specifically a DeFi one, you're going to want to be checking on the Google Tag Manager script right now because it has been targeted by hackers. The GMT scripts are often used by websites for tracking user activity and data for analytical purposes. Using the injected malicious script via GTM, the hackers made users approve their funds and sent them to the hacker's address. So not good at all. Before the fix, however, the attackers were able to move 265,000 worth of Aave Matic interest-bearing USDC tokens to 4 transactions. So that money's gone and probably won't be returned, but Kuiper Networks has offered 15% bounty worth 40,000 to the hackers if they were to return the stolen funds. Don't know why they would do that, but there it is. So the DeFi hacks have not gone away. I think this is a smaller dollar amount, but the pace of them just happening from a binary standpoint is continuing, and that's not a good thing. So we actually did a weekend wrap-up today that'll be going out later today, and that does talk a little bit about more of what the FBI recommends you do to avoid getting caught up in one of these DeFi hacks. All right. Decentralized NFT marketplace SudoSwap announces Ethereum token airdrop. So if all our airdrop fans, who theoretically everybody should because it's free money, you want to pay attention to this one. The decentralized NFT marketplace announced that an initial supply of 60 million Ethereum-based pseudo tokens would be distributed to various members of the project. Those who hold XMON, the utility token behind the popular NFT project called XMONs, will receive the lion's share, 41.9% of the pseudo drop via a lock drop event. And there's kind of the breakdown, as you can see. And so a little bit about SudoSwap, because they're obviously doing this for publicity. So we'll give them what they want. SudoSwap is a unique NFT platform that it uses uses an automated market maker, AMM, to source and fund trades. Think of how Uniswap pools various token pairs, but instead of tokens, SudoSwap provides the same service for NFTs, which is a really interesting concept. I don't know if this is where I would put my money to work, but it's an interesting concept, especially if you're holding a lot of NFTs. You could potentially be getting an ROI by essentially staking them in a pool. Not really staking, but it's a similar outcome. Taking a look at the XMON token, it is up precipitously, up about 30%, and it's priced similarly to Bitcoin. That doesn't mean that it's anywhere near as valuable as Bitcoin, but it's priced similarly. And you can see that over the last 7 days that it had quite a spike, and it's kind of stayed at that level. So maybe something to look into. This looks like some pretty good stuff. For the record, I don't know anything about this SudoSwap, but it's on the front page of Decrypt, and I don't think Decrypt will be shilling some kind of like nefarious platform. But I mean, we are seeing a lot of DeFi hacks, so just be very careful. I'm not necessarily saying this is the best thing to do, but it is an airdrop, so it could be some free money for you. Bitcoin, Ethereum funding rates remain negative amid market volatility. This one gets a little heady, but bear with me. The funding rates for Bitcoin and Ethereum, the leading cryptocurrencies by market cap, remain negative for derivative traders, suggesting a potential short-term bullish signal. And keeping this very simple, but also hitting it home, because this is kind of important. Funding rates are designed to show the overall sentiment of the traders and how they are viewing future market conditions. When funding rates remain negative, it indicates how traders are short or expected the market to go down. When funding rates are positive, it implies how traders are long or expecting the market to go up in the long run. And as you can see, the dominant sentiment right now is actually bullish, which is really interesting. And then there's one more note on this. No, there's not. So very, very interesting there. You'll definitely want to be keeping an eye on that as that funding rate does remain negative. And then also one that Tim sent me this morning that I found interesting as well, the fundamental BTC cross about to happen on-chain. And here's what it is. Long-term hodlers realized price and short-term hodlers realized price are two important metrics used in on-chain analysis, and the cross between them is historically important. Historically. It's historically horse important. It should bring some volatility back to the market. That's an interesting phrasing considering how volatile things are right now. But the last time we saw the cross between two lines was around 2019, which happened prior to the Bitcoin's plunge to a multi-year low of 3,000. This article is not saying we're going back to 3,000, just so you know. When the short-term realized price drops below the long-term realized price, the market is considered extremely oversold. And this seems to have been brought to the community's attention by Will Clemente, who is a very popular Twitter user and crypto commentator. So how does this go? Why is this important? Where could this lead? There are two scenarios. Basically, the first scenario is a spike in the trading volume on the market with institutional investors starting a buying spree, which would be bullish, or a sudden increase in selling pressure as both short and long-term investors would like to exit at the break-even point or relatively small losses, which would be, I believe, that would be bearish. So some very interesting developments there with that on-chain analysis. All right, now getting into some Cardano. Cardano gets listed on Robinhood, as we talked about yesterday. And so let's check that out. The TH Cardano market, they just totally messed that up. The first two words of this article. The Cardano market has witnessed back-to-back pieces of good news since August 31st from the listing on Robinhood, a US-based, we all know what Robinhood is, and its first lending and borrowing protocol, ADA Finance. Additionally, Cardano developers IOHK stated that they are close to clinching 3 critical mass indicators that would lead to the launch of their long-awaited Vasil hard fork in September. So we're getting closer as I tap my fingers. Vasil aims to improve Cardano's scalability and transaction throughput through pipelining. The upgrade could also improve the decentralized application and smart contract capabilities by changing the Pluto script and programming language used for smart contracts on the Cardano blockchain. So a couple developments there from Cardano. We'll just continue to be monitoring that, and getting listed on Robinhood is no small feat at all. But that is going to wrap out our market cap, and we're going to be getting into some
Market
TA.
cap.
Market cap. That's going to
Yes.
round out our market pulse. The market cap of our market pulse is extremely high. That's what was on my mind. But yeah, we're wrapping it out. Throw it back over to Tim, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, that was good. Let us know in chat how much you guys love T-Shroom and his market pulse. And we're growing here. This is all community-based. So if you guys ever have any comments and things like, hey, I'd love to see you guys cover more of this or more of that, or I'd love to see T-Shroom do this or that, leave those in the comments. It helps us if you leave it in chat. Engagement is great in chat, but it really helps when you leave it in the comment section. So let us know what you guys are thinking. But we got 400 people watching. I know that number's going to grow, but we only have 127 likes.
Yikes.
That
I
is,
liked it.
It's not the number that is a good ratio to views. So let's go ahead and get that like button smashed, because we're about to jump in. And I told you guys, we're going to do TA today, but we're going to be going into our discussion section talking about this Vitalik news. And it is a very, very interesting news. And I'd love to see the chat really engage with us while we're going through it, because there's a lot of different concepts going on here. Before we do that, though, this TA and discussion section is brought to you by Hedge. And you guys can see I have a Get Hedge shirt on. But Smay, why don't you tell them about, first of all, what Hedge is? And second of all, a great offer they can get if they click our link down below in the description.
Well, gee, Tim, I would love to do that. Guys, Hedge is a payroll conversion solution that allows you to dollar cost average a percentage of your payroll directly into your cold wallet and crypto of choice. So, if you convert at least $40 of that payroll paycheck into cryptocurrency, you get $10 of free Bitcoin, baby. So, if you want free Bitcoin, go on. It's a great product. I love it. Guys, go DCA without even thinking about it. Back to you, Tim.
Boom. Thank you so much, Smay. And I forgot, what we're also doing now is we're doing our question of the day in this middle. We just did all the market pulse. So we're about to dive into TA and discussion on crypto. But I got to throw it back over to T-Shroom for our question of the day. All of chat, I want to hear your answers to this. Smay and I will give ours as well as T-Shroom. But what is the question for today, T-Shroom, on your brain?
I got your question right here, Tim. But Smay, do not go to my screen, whatever you do. Please. Oh my gosh, it would be so bad.
I'm tempted.
Would you rather oversleep every day for a week or not get any sleep at all for 4 days? That's a question for today. Let us know in the chat what you would do. Would you rather oversleep every day for a week or not get any sleep for all 4 days?
What constitutes oversleeping? Like 2 minutes? An hour? 3 hours? Always being late to work?
I would imagine you'd be late to whatever you needed to be.
Gosh.
I wouldn't hold a job very long.
That's true. I mean, these both sound like things that will cost you your job, because if you don't sleep for 4 days, there ain't no way you're putting in quality work when you go in.
Yeah, so maybe the question then is, which could you endure to be able to retain your job? Are you better at coming up with excuses of why you overslept, or are you better at fighting through not having any sleep?
See, this is painful to me because I'm notoriously early to everything, probably to a fault. I'm that guy that if you invite me to a party at 7 p.m., I'm probably arriving at 6:30.
Yeah.
I grew up with a fear of being late because my mom, love my mom, but she was a homeschool, stay-at-home mother. I don't know why. I don't know if that's common for homeschool mothers. We were late to everything. I don't think we ever walked in to anything without. It was early to be 15 minutes late. Is pretty much how that went. I remember running laps at football practice because we were late to football practice, and it was ridiculous. So I had this fear. So I'm early to everything. So yeah. I'm wondering, do I constitute, even if I slept in, I'm so early to when I get to work that I'll end up just showing on time, or I don't know. But that is a fear of mine. Oversleeping is a fear of mine. But I also like sleep, so I don't want to have none of it. I'm going to say oversleep. But it does scare the crap out of me.
All right. Smay?
I'm going to say no sleep.
No sleep till Brooklyn?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
What's yours?
I have to sleep, so I would rather oversleep because I feel like I could probably come up with excuses Yeah. And if I overslept a whole week, I would just have to do my job a lot faster in those first. I would have to put the market pulls together a lot faster, and that it would probably erode the quality quite a bit. But so that's what I would do. Let's see what the chat is saying. A mellow fellow is saying no sleep. He'd rather have no sleep.
No sleep.
DJ Rolling Rick said he would rather oversleep, or she.
You know what? I'm gonna take an assumption here. I'm reading chat. I see a lot of people saying same here, Tim. I agree with you, Tim. I'm the same way, Tim. I bet you the majority of our chat really is gonna go on the road of saying they don't want to be late to things, and the reason why is they're a fan of our channel. What is our channel? What we do a lot of things well. I think we are like the most fun channel. I think we're the most engaging channel. I think we have the best community and all. But you know what we're definitely 100% the best at is starting on time.
It's true.
I love all these other content creators. I love you guys. You guys have great content, but you do seem to start late a lot, quite frequently.
Which is ironic because today we had kind of a little bit of a shaky start.
And it wasn't our fault, though. We were sitting here ready to go. YouTube gives us issues. They don't like us. I think YouTube likes to sleep in a lot.
I think YouTube got jealous because we're also streaming on Twitch.
That could be it.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah, the YouTube's got a little jealous.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This just a peek behind the scenes. This multi-streaming doesn't seem to be working very well, so I'm probably not gonna continue it until I find another solution. So sorry, guys.
Oh, that stinks.
Sorry if you guys wanted to watch on Twitch.
How many people are watching on Twitch?
A whole whopping 2 of them.
Matt C said,
I'm
I
so
hate
sorry.
being late and oversleeping. My Lanes said, Tim seems like a super cool individual, which is unrelated but very true. And Tim said that he's notoriously early for things. I'm just notoriously.
Ooh. I don't even know what that means. Thank you. That's me.
Yeah, and Diamond Lily said, absolutely love that you guys always start on time. It makes a difference.
It does.
That warms my heart,
It does
which is
make
on
a
this side of my chest.
If you appreciate being on time to places, smash the like button. And if you're not subscribed yet, because here's the thing, I see a lot of people in chat. We got almost 500 people watching. I know not all 500 people are in chat letting us know what their thoughts are. If you are not in chat and you appreciate being on timed places, subscribe to this channel. We are all about being on time. It's one of our core values. It's not, but it should be. So we're going to go ahead and transition, though. That was fun. I love those questions. That is a new part of the show. Just in case you guys are wondering, that is going to be here. We're going to always kind of take that break in the middle, loosen up a little bit, get back, have some excitement, and then we're going to dive back into crypto. And we're going to be talking here in just a couple of minutes all about Vitalik Buterin and what was he thinking / doing / trying to accomplish with his spreading of FUD about the future of Bitcoin. And will people fall for it, or will we kind of read through what's happening there? Before we do that, though, we will do some short TA. And I told the guys I was almost going to treat it like 2-minute technicals. I'm going to try to just stay as short as possible, but we're going to go through a couple charts here, just so you guys are aware of what's happening. Let's start over on the Dixie. Go to my screen, old Smay. This is what is happening right now. So we had a double top right here at 109.2, what is it, 0.35, give or take. We surpassed it now. Now we're falling back down. We're back below that flat level. However, there is still very much an ability for the Dixie to climb upwards of over 113. There is one thing we see right here, a bull pennant. And normally we like bull pennants in the crypto space, but when we're talking about the Dixie, we don't like bull pennants. If we were to extrapolate this information and play it out, this would give us a price prediction all the way up at 112, which is pretty close to the 113 I've been talking about, getting us back up to the resistance level of this megaphone pattern that we have been in now for a very, very long time. I'm on the 4-hourly chart at the moment, so I have to go to the daily chart to show you how far back this goes. This started pretty much all the way back in January of this year. So this is kind of adding to that narrative of there's a lot of bearish pressure right now in the space. Let's go look at Bitcoin specifically, and then we'll probably look at Ethereum as well. Those are the two coins happening today. So a couple different things going on here. Couple things to look at. First of all, let's just start with the smaller time frames where we're going back up towards this level of resistance that we've hit twice now, up around 20,450, give or take 500. Let's just call it 20,500. We have our 3 touches. 3 times we've come down to 19.5. But now, are we going to make a touch right here on this $20,500 level and make it a third resistance push? Are we going to break through? You guys can see I have drawn right here. There actually is a little bit of a falling wedge that has formed here that we broke through. Are we going to come back down and retest this resistance level, turning into support? Are we going to keep going up? Here's the 2 things to think about. I'm going to show you. Let's just start and let's be bullish while I do this. This rising wedge has a prediction. If I were to start here at our first support level and go up to the first resistance level peak, and then I extrapolate this over, you guys see the same thing happen over when I do Ethereum TA. It takes us up to the very tip of this volume range that we've been in for a while, right at about 22,000. Let's just call it somewhere right south of 22,300. That thin green line, the thickness of this volume is these 2 thick green lines, but then we have 2 thin green lines that I have highlighted here. For the majority of ever since we fell down to the $17,500 price of Bitcoin, we've kind of stayed in this range. We broke through it, but the majority of the volume and trading has happened within these green ranges. So this price prediction could send us back up to the very tip top of that, and then it's a decision point. Here's the confusing point, though, because I just used a falling wedge predicting tool to say that we could go back up to 22,300, but we haven't even fully played out necessarily what the rising wedge we just finished playing out has done, and I'll re-show you guys that one. If we go, again, the length of when this started, and we extrapolate that over to the breaking point, this predicted that we would go south of $19,000 down to 18,700, give or take 800. We did not go down that far. So will we rally up to 22.1 and then fall back down? I don't think so. Just so you guys know, if we were to rally above this price right here at 21.8, that would be a higher high and would kind of cancel out this downward trend we've been in. So we're kind of sitting here with an if-then statement on Bitcoin. If we can break through this 21.9, 21.8 or so and keep going up and hit that 22.3, I actually think there's a good chance that we could be looking at a potential bullish pattern rallying us up towards 24, 25,000 again. Now, there's still a lot of pressure up there. There's still a lot of things that says that that could end badly. But for right now, there is a potential bullish hope on the TA side. That's not sentiment side. We talked about sentiment before. There's still a lot of bearish sentiment in the space that's going to keep us suppressed. But this is a volatile season for Bitcoin. And so we could rally back up there and then still not be able to break through that 25 and come back down. We will keep you posted and we'll keep you on the charts and the sentiment of the space to let you know what is happening there. Spoiler alert, though, I still don't think that we've gone the lowest we're going to go here for the rest of the year. Now, let's go and flip over to Ethereum very quickly. And it is doing something similar of its own where, again, it had a rising wedge pattern here for the last couple of months that started back in July. Right? The news broke about ETH 2.0. And then it's not as clear of a falling wedge or a descending wedge as Bitcoin's, but it is coming together. We broke through our resistance level, and this one would give us a prediction with Bitcoin going up to 22.3. Ethereum should be going up, and that's a very crooked line, so don't pay attention to how crooked the line is. It gives us the height. We could see an Ethereum price going back up to 19.27. Now, again, sentiment in the crypto space, I don't know. I don't know if there's necessarily the sentiments backing this up just yet, but if we were just taking emotion out of it, reading the charts, doing our technical analysis, $100 on Ethereum. If we break through that bullish, we have just at a higher high, and I think there's a potential chance we could start a new Ethereum rally. Now, we're going to talk about Ethereum and Bitcoin here in a second from the news side and what Vitalik said, but I'm going to pretend, let's take the people out of it. Just look at these coins, their fundamentals, their projects, what's happening. We talked about this. I think Ethereum could be a very explosive project here over the next 6 to 16 months with its move to proof of stake and what's happening with its supply. I think Ethereum is the coin that I'm keeping a very good eye on to say it could be leading this whole next year and the next bull run that comes simply because of this change of fundamentals. Let's keep our eyes on other projects as well. But if we were to break through 1,700 on Ethereum, we will cancel out this secondary bear trend and potentially be able to start a new bullish one. Now, again, got to factor in news, got to factor in fundamentals. I think Ethereum has the best case out of any altcoin right now to defy bearish sentiment due to its fundamentals of the supply being lowered. But as it stands right now, we do have that prediction that says that we could get back up to 1,927. However, same thing just like Bitcoin. We got to look at the whole the whole chart and say, well, if we're going to say we're going to go that high because we have a falling wedge, well, we didn't even go that high when we had a rising wedge. We didn't go low enough on a rising wedge for the breakout because this one predicted that Ethereum would come all the way down to 1,200. Now, we'll pause right there before I move on. TA was never supposed to be 100%. TA is not 100%. Anyone who told you that if you do technical analysis, you'll be right 100% of the time, they lied to you. That's not the point. The point is that you can better your odds to make good trades by using technical analysis along with following the news and along with following sentiment. So just because we didn't make this one doesn't mean we won't make this prediction either. It's just something to keep your eye on, that while you might have a target now in your mind to take profit on a trade, you still want to monitor things and know that these things can be canceled out. Or the other one is maybe this is just a delay and a fake out, that we're still going to be going and hitting these levels that we had predicted for Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's just going to take a little longer than first expected. That is all the TA that I have for you guys today. I wanted to catch you guys up on that, but I'm going to throw it to T-Shroom real quick before we dive into this Vitalik story. T-Shroom, what do you got?
Yeah, just a little. Smay, if you'll go to my screen, I know it's pretty challenging, but if you will, I've just got up some traditional market stuff. So the SPY has just bounced off some bottom support, and it's kind of heading back north. So the SPY is the index of Wall Street, of the stock market, and so that's kind of a quick snapshot. This is on the 4-hour, and this is going back to like mid-June that it's held this support. So it's kind of potentially, the stock market is potentially bottomed out. Folks on the street are probably making the argument that the SPY has kind of bottomed out. Now it's ready to come back up and test what is probably the 200-day moving average there. And then on the oil front, oil has just effectively, and this has kind of been the mission of the second half of August of oil, to flip this resistance to support. Now it's finally come back and confirmed that this is now support. It's bounced off the top of that, and this is not financial advice, but I have taken a position to the upside for oil because I think that's a pretty bullish move whenever you can flip support flip resistance to support. That is pretty bullish. This is more than likely going to go up, and I'm probably going to hold this through the winter months because that's when oil becomes the most valuable, because people have to heat their homes, not just in the U.S., but also in Europe. Again, not financial advice, but what I'm now really interested in is to see if it can come up here and test this resistance and go through it and then come back and then try to flip that into that resistance and support too, and then go north. So that is your traditional market TA. Nothing crazy there, but traditional markets are the stock market at least is looking pretty bullish, and the oil market's looking bullish, and that's not going to be great for inflation going into the fall. But you could potentially hedge against those bearish inflationary effects on your portfolio by actually owning oil, which is something that I do. So back to you, Tim. Let's get into Vitalik.
Yeah, I mean, that's all the TA we have for you guys today. If something changes while we're talking and the price starts to do something different, because we were sitting there closer to resistance levels on Bitcoin, we will go back to it if need be. But we're going to go and transition into the entire point of this stream and what we want to really discuss, and that is this news coming from Vitalik. So go to my screen here real quick, Smay. There's an article over here by the Crypto Briefing, and it says Ethereum Vitalik Buterin is worried, quote, about Bitcoin's future for two reasons. If you go and you're reading this article, I highlighted the important parts. Bitcoin could face problems in the long-term future owing to its fee model. So that's going to be really big here as we discuss this about the Bitcoin fees and the future of what that looks like. He says that eventually the network will rely on transaction fees alone for security. Now, what he means by that, in case you guys did not know this, the last Bitcoin will be mined in the year 2140. All right, so no one alive today will still be alive when the last Bitcoin is mined. That's the first thing. If maybe there's a baby born today that's going to have immaculate health and live to be 120 years old, but I don't think they're going to be that worried about the Bitcoin mining protocol. We're talking about our grandchildren / great grandchildren. Some people great grandchildren, depending on where you are right now in your age. But his point is that once we've mined the last coin, the only thing that's going to be keeping miners around to do things is going to be the transaction fees. And his worry is there's not going to be a lot of attention there. So he goes on and says, according to this was a report giving just a note of why he's worried about this. According to the crypto fee data, Bitcoin averaged about 225,000 in fees over the past week. So that's dollars, trailing DeFi mainstays like Aave and Uniswap. The biggest fee generator is the protocol Buterin created, that's Ethereum, which took in around $2.7 million over the same time frame. All right, so let's pause right there. That his concern is that miners will not have any real incentive to keep going. And he kind of clarifies this with a second. He said that he had two reasons, but they're kind of very related. So it goes on, his other reason he's really concerned here is he says that proof of work provides much less security per dollar spent on transaction fees than proof of stake, arguing that it would be problematic to have a $5 trillion network that costs only $5 billion to attack. So we're going to pause right there. We're going to break this down. First of all, I want to clarify to everybody, this is not a Bitcoin versus Ethereum discussion. I think that both of these projects are going to be around for a very long time. I think that both of these projects are going to be very instrumental in the future of crypto, helping this planet become a better place and solve our monetary problems. With that being said, though, Vitalik is very smart. Where is he pulling $5 billion could attack a $5 trillion market cap on Bitcoin? That's my first question. And if there's an answer to that, I'd be more than happy to explore and listen to it. But this is really just a reopening of the proof of work versus proof of stake protocol arguments that's been going on for a very, very long time. And I got to start off, before we dive deeper into some more details, and I know that T. Shroom has a lot of thoughts on this. I know Smay has some thoughts on this. I have my own, and I want to hear what chat thinks as well. But you got to ask the question. It'd be really easy to just read this article and to think, oh, Vitalik's got some points. He's got some concerns. We should be worried. But we gotta think through some things that have been happening recently. I'm excited about ETH 2.0 merge. A lot of people are excited about ETH 2.0 merge. Well, my words are rough today. You know who's not excited about it? Is the Ethereum miners. They're very upset about it. There's been a lot of backlash. People who are in love with Bitcoin's proof of work model have been kind of going after Vitalik and his infatuation now with proof of stake and his wanting to move over there. Could this potentially be a shifting of attention that Vitalik has not liked the backlash he's gotten about proof of stake, and he's trying to change the narrative and go on the offensive and say, instead of people coming to me, I'm going to start attacking Bitcoin's proof of work system just to get attention off of Ethereum and potentially FUD people out of Bitcoin to come over to Ethereum. So let's start right there. T. Shroom, what are your thoughts about that? How likely do you think that that's the strategy that Vitalik's using right now, is just distracting from the negative attention he's getting?
Yeah, I think if you're giving Vitalik the benefit of the doubt, I think at best this is just a deflection story. And I don't even know when he issued these statements, did he like come out and tweet it, or was he asked a question?
It was an interview.
Okay, if it was so these are questions that were kind of teased out in an interview. It's not like Vitalik is going out of his way doing some kind of blog post or making a TikTok like Bitcoin sucks or something like that. Like he's responding in an interview. So first of all, that's important for the context. This kind of tones down the conversation a little bit, right? Is just a response. But second of all, he's just trying to deflect. And that's what I would be doing, right? If I'm on the top of Ethereum and I'm trying to, help its PR, I would be issuing some kind of statement similar to this, which is like, hey, I'm getting criticism from the community in this direction. I want to deflect that criticism. Hey, what about our competitor, Bitcoin, over here? They have flaws too, right? So, and does Vitalik, is he probably wishing that he hadn't said that and wish he'd said something more diplomatic, like, oh, we're all going to move into the future and there's enough market share for everybody? Probably. Knowing Vitalik, he probably would say something like that if he could go back. But I think he did say that, and it probably is really on his heart that he does see these vulnerabilities in Bitcoin. But ultimately, it's a deflection story. I don't think that he thinks that Bitcoin's going anywhere anytime soon. So that's kind of what I think.
I hear you. I think that, I'm not saying that you never have any kernels of truth in a statement you make, but especially with, Vitalik's been in the news a lot this week.
Yeah.
For many different reasons. He was also in the news for the last couple of weeks when he went after XRP. He seems to be on this vendetta recently, T-Shroom, that he's going after these other projects, and it's really starting to be like, hey, Vitalik, you good, bud? Like, are you feeling attacked personally? Because you went after XRP, and you've historically kind of gone after Cardano, and you've gone after now you're going after Bitcoin, and you're going after people. Like, what's happening here, Vitalik? I think this is definitely, because even that number, like, nowhere in the interview, or maybe the writers did a bad job putting it there. Where's he getting that $5 billion could hack and take over a $5 trillion market cap of Bitcoin? If anything, this is where we really need to make sure that people don't just read articles. They take all the information into account. You got to get into the fundamentals of Bitcoin. And we're going to discuss those fundamentals. And the fact is, you cannot deny those fees that they just talked about in the report It says that Bitcoin's fees, when it talks about transaction fees and rewards that miners get, they're very minimal right now. But that does not mean they'll be like that forever. Also, when you're starting to, we're going to kind of move into this debate now because this is what he opened up for us to debate again. I thought we were done with it, but we're going to debate it again. Proof of work versus proof of stake. He is highlighting and going back to the concerns that people have talked about with proof of work for a very long time. Now, he didn't say it here, but you got to open up the conversation of the environmental impact. Obviously, proof of stake takes less electricity than proof of work does to operate. He's talking about the security of it. He's saying, okay, when you look at proof of work versus proof of stake, and I was reading even more about it this morning, just reminding and re-upping myself on the fundamentals of these two different protocols. Proof of work has a forgiveness model to where if you make a mistake as one of the node operators, you can be forgiven. What happens is if 51% or more people agree with the mistake, the entire protocol can be changed. So that is the vulnerability of proof of work versus proof of stake. That's not how it works. There's actually penalties when you violate things. The only difference is if you were talking about a very small proof of work project, then yes, there's a very real concern about being hacked. But Bitcoin has never been hacked. And every single time a new coin is mined, every single year that we keep developing and there's more and more and more people coming into space, it gets harder and harder and harder and harder. And it's really convenient and it's really nice to say, yeah, Bitcoin's vulnerable because if someone took 51% control, they could hack it. Yeah, you're right. They could. Do you know how hard it would be to get 51% control of Bitcoin? It is absolutely ludicrous to think that that's a feat that anyone could have. And we're going to talk about that more later, about what the future of Bitcoin could be when it comes to governments. But here's the other thing that people need to remember. And the article, I'm not going to go show you the article again, but if you scroll down, it starts talking about this. One of the reasons why he's getting backlash, Vitalik Buterin, about this move to proof of stake. And I don't want to spread FUD about Ethereum. I think Ethereum is great. But it is opening itself up to a level of potential centralization down the road that it did not have before. And what do I mean by that? When you have a proof of stake model, when your coin is proof of stake, you can operate decentralized. You can operate where all the decisions are made by nodes, and that is great. But you have the ability to be centralized. And you got to realize, even when it comes to Ethereum, let's look at some other stories that have been coming out recently. Like, for example, the questions being asked to Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, where he's asked, hey, now that we're moving Ethereum to proof of stake, there's a chance that it could have some censorship. Governments could get in and actually do some censorship on Ethereum. They could control people who own Ethereum. What about Coinbase? Do you feel like that's something you're worried about, your ability to do so? And Brian Armstrong's response was not, no, that's not possible. It was not, no, that's not going to happen. His response is, here at Coinbase, we would rather not offer staking than censor it. So good for you, Brian. You're a moral guy. You like decentralization. But what you just answered was that you have the capability of censoring Ethereum. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't own Ethereum. By the way, centralized systems are still valuable. They still have a place in the world. But this concept of moving to proof of stake does come with the con of it just increased its capability of becoming centralized and becoming a problem. That's why proof of work is valuable. No one will ever argue that proof of work is cheaper than proof of stake. No one will argue that you can spend less electricity on proof of work than you will on proof of stake. That's not the point. We know that we're going to have to spend more electricity. We know it's going to cost a little bit more to run a proof of work system. But you know what doesn't happen in a proof of work system? Centralization. So then the question becomes fundamentally to the rest of the world, how valuable is guaranteed centralization? And this kind of brings me to another story I want to introduce here, and we'll keep discussing this down the road, but we haven't talked about it on this show because I didn't feel there was quite a need just yet to do so. But there was an article written this morning that talks about Bitcoin's role in the future of what we just saw happen from the federal government here in the United States, where they're beginning to forgive college loans. So the article goes in. I'm actually going to show you guys. Give me a second, Smay. I'm going to... Yeah, go ahead. All right, show my screen now. This is the Bitcoin Magazine, and it's an opinion piece where they talk about the immoral student loan forgiveness broken in academia could be fixed with Bitcoin Standard. I highlighted points here. I'm not going to read them, though. I'm going to sum them up. Wow, these bubbles from the coffee are getting me this morning.
I'll tell you what. I will tell you what.
All right, here we go. Breather time. There we go. So, in case you have lived under a rock, we have this new law or a new bill put in place that if you have student debt, student loans, you can be forgiven up to a certain amount. I've heard different numbers to the exact number, so don't worry about the exact number. The fact is they're forgiving student loans.
Yeah.
So not only are we increasing and encouraging young people to go take these loans and to risk, which causes the tuition itself to get higher. If you were to look at charts of the price of tuition over the years, it is skyrocketing. But now we're saying, hey, we know that you chose to go to college and you chose to take the loans. And these other people over here, they said, no, I don't want to pay for college. I'm going to go ahead and just make something of myself without an education, higher education. Now we're saying, hey, we're going to continue to encourage you guys to go get loans, and we're going to make all of them pay for it, and we're going to let you get off scot-free. Now, I know a lot of people have different opinions on that, but that's immoral. I agree with this article. The concept of forcing one person to pay for another person's decision, and we can call it a bad decision when we're looking at, and this is a whole thing that's been created from the bottom with Keynesian economics of saying that money is so, like, you just need to keep spending it, keep spending, borrow and spend, borrow and spend, borrow and spend. Why do we have economic crashes all the time? Because we have irresponsible people with money, not just the government, but people themselves as well. And we're encouraging them to do so. And then our bailout situation is that everyone who has been responsible up to this point, you have to pay for this. That is immoral. And it is a lack of accountability. It's a lack of accountability to the students, a lack of accountability to these parents of the students that are telling their children to go ahead and take these. And it's a lack of accountability for our government to decide who's going to be paying for these student loans, and a lack of accountability for the school themselves for choosing what the price should be. With Bitcoin, with hard-earned money, you reopen the capabilities for competition to come back into the space. When you do this, you're going to increase people's education. You're going to increase the value of education. You're going to increase the number of people who make wise choices on, is this education actually worth it? Or should I save my Satoshis or something else for down the road? Why am I saying this? Because proof of work and hard money and us taking accountability into all of our life's decisions, I believe is worth the higher energy bills and the less transaction fees. And I'm going to open this up to the other guys, but something we talked about is let's just push this down the road. Let's say we get to 2140. We're talking about our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. Bitcoin, the last Bitcoin is mined, and maybe the transaction fees are not very profitable. What incentive should there be for Bitcoin to keep going on? I'm going to throw it actually to Smay here real quick to give your takes. Smay, what are your thoughts about why, even if transaction fees are low, and even if there's not mining rewards, why would governments and countries still want to be competing with one another to have the mining control of Bitcoin?
Well, I mean, first of all, we're talking about the year 2140, right? So at this point, if we're looking at a future where Bitcoin has been adopted by most countries, it's become a world currency. The fact of the matter is, do I believe that companies, people who are chasing profit, are going to stop mining Bitcoin as much? Absolutely, right? Like these companies, there's not going to be much of an incentive anymore. You're not going to see independent companies wanting to make profit off of Bitcoin mining. But what you absolutely will see is countries fighting for the dominance of the Bitcoin mining hash rate. Guys, what we're looking at here is that at the end of the day, what we're going to see is that a lot of these countries know that if they get 51% of the power, they have control of the world's currency, right? So it's going to become a new battleground. It's going to become a place where they're going to start competing for mining power, and it's going to, and also these countries are going to invest in mining operations to keep their currencies stable. I think there's going to be, in fact, a lot of mining, a lot of competition in the mining space, converting any kind of natural energy deposits or anything like that into mining centers in their countries, because you're going to have countries wanting to take over the currency of the world. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and I think, when we talk about this, I'm going to kind of just go back over. If Bitcoin were to die, and if Bitcoin were to go to zero and crash, not do well, and if Vitalik's concerns are real, that has way more to do with the fact that people just don't want to transact Bitcoin. That, it's not going to be because of Bitcoin's proof of work. It's going to be if people want to transact it or not. Because if transactions are happening, here's what I think that we could kind of analyze and say this is what the future will look like with government's interaction with Bitcoin. First of all, it's the hardest money we've ever known to mankind, so that's going to be the first attraction to all people in the economic realm to say Bitcoin is the best. That's just economically how the world flows. We always flow to the hardest money. If people don't want to transact it, then we have a problem. It's not going to be because the fees are low and miners don't make a lot of money. It's the fact that people just don't want to transact it. But let's say people do want to transact it. And let's say now the conversation comes in, Vitalik, that the transaction fees are lower. You can make way more transaction fees trading Ethereum. But the issue is that the world knows that the hardest money out there is Bitcoin. Similar to like nuclear warfare. No government that has nukes wants to use those nukes. The point of increasing your nuclear storage is actually to continue to discourage other countries from acting out of bad will towards you. So in the same way, when we're talking about, when Vitalik says, hey, a $5 billion hack or a $5 billion amount of money could hack a $5 trillion market cap on Bitcoin, the reason I don't think that's the case is because I actually think that Bitcoin will become almost like a form of nuclear warfare, in the sense of we don't utilize it to actually fight with one another. We use it to discourage each other from doing anything more than the other. And it's like every single country will actually want to be mining as much Bitcoin as possible to stop any one country from getting a 51% attack on Bitcoin. The money will actually be what causes the entire economy of the world to act responsibly. So I think when we really back up, and I'm going to throw a T-Shim here and just say it to get even further take on that, but I think when we back it up, Bitcoin, we've been talking about this for a long time, we should not be fudding out because one person is saying, oh, he has worries about transaction fees. If you go back and find out what Bitcoin actually is and the history of how currency works and what flows into it, the only reason Bitcoin will fail is if people choose that Bitcoin is not transactable. It will not be because of transaction fees. It will not be because of some mining protocol. All of the negatives of a proof of work system outweigh the negatives of a proof of stake system for a long-term money. T-Shim, I want to throw it to you and continue that thought, and what are your takes on that?
Yeah, you may be fascinated by what Tim just said, and it may be the first time you've heard that, but this is not the first time that people have been thinking about this. I want to go to my screen really quick. This is an individual who I like to follow quite a bit, Jason Lowry. He's at the U.S. Space Force. And the U.S. National Defense Department is actually funding him to go to MIT and study Bitcoin as a U.S. National Defense Fellow. And basically I pulled up this comment, which is slightly off topic, but what his thesis is, he all day is on Twitter, and he's writing a paper for MIT that's going to be published next year that I'm really excited to read. But his whole thing is that he tries to orange pill high-ranking officials in the military and in U.S. government and foreign governments and help them see the potential that's there for Bitcoin and what Bitcoin is going to become in the future in terms of cybersecurity, in terms of cyber warfare as well. It kind of what Tim was going, if you play that out, if you take like an Iran and a North Korea and you can go away from my screen now, and you think about how they use nuclear weapons and nuclear technology, it's similar to what will happen. So the U.S. and the interested powers over in Asia, they do all that they can to keep North Korea from developing a nuclear weapons program. Same thing in Iran. And so it's very similar. Is like all it would take is just some power somewhere, China, from getting a motivation to bring Bitcoin down through a 51% attack, right? And so it's going to be in the national security interest of all the other countries in the world whose population is using Bitcoin at all to maintain stability in that currency and make sure it isn't 51% attacked. And at that point in time is when it's not really about the fees anymore. It's about maintaining security. It's about maintaining stability. I do want to read this tweet really quick from Jason Lowry. This is his view of the difference between proof of stake and proof of work. Proof of stake is a reversion back to the idea that rules will protect people against exploitation. They never have. Proof of work says, we know these exploits are possible, but we will make it too physically cost prohibitive to do it. So that's kind of the long and short of why I don't think proof of work is going anywhere. And what was it? EOS was the other proof of work project that was talked about as an altcoin from the video you did the other day, Tim, on Afternoon Brew. There's other proof of work chains out there that aren't going anywhere. Namely, Bitcoin is probably the biggest one, and not probably, it is the biggest one. And is able to maintain in such a different way than proof of stake. And Cardano's proof of stake, right? And we're big on Cardano here. It's always been proof of stake. And so it has a role to play. It's not, it's just, but if you look at the initial coin distributions, there is an argument that even that initial coin distribution is still equitable. It still kind of makes sense and serves a purpose somewhere in the crypto market. But yeah, so in the future, countries are more than likely they're going to have once they realize it, and this is Jason Lowery's thesis, once countries realize it, they're going to have an extreme incentive to mine Bitcoin and to maintain the blockchain, if for no other reason, just to maintain the ledger for their national security. It's the same reason why our government in the United States subsidizes agriculture. We subsidize corn, so that because there's so many products in the United States that are made out of corn. Gasoline, a major additive in gasoline is ethanol, comes from corn, right? If without gasoline, the United States would grind to a halt, our GDP would go negative, we'd be in a real recession, right? And things would go very bad. So it's in the national security of the government and every government to subsidize and to maintain certain key commodities and certain key systems. So, and Bitcoin is emerging, and this very smart MIT student who's also in the Space Force, right? And he's engaged in cyber warfare all the time. Not himself, but he's defending the United States against cyber warfare all the time. He is coming to the same conclusion that the United States, world governments are actually going to be very heavily engaged in the preservation of the Bitcoin blockchain and other proof of work and potentially proof of stake blockchains. So that's kind of my take. And I think that where Vitalik is coming from with this, again, is just deflection. And if he could take those words back, I'm sure that he would. And he's a very smart guy too. I just think that I'd like to listen to that interview and kind of see what the context was, what the mood was when that question was asked. Because sometimes it's maybe lighter. Maybe it was a really light response, and maybe he was even joking in a way. I doubt that, but I kind of want to hear what that interview was and get more context.
I think wrapping this entire conversation up, here's what you really need to walk away with this. If your foundational understanding and desire to own Bitcoin was built on sand as a foundation, just money, in terms of I just watched the charts and I think the price is going to go up. If you don't have a very strong foundation of understanding what the fundamentals of Bitcoin and the future of Bitcoin and the why behind Bitcoin exist, you could get flooded out by this story. But those who have a fundamental understanding of Bitcoin with a rock foundation, a hard foundation, are going to know that this argument, that as smart as Vitalik is based on some kind of shaky grounds. And that is that he's only applying it to what makes monetary sense for a miner. But when we're talking about the entire story of Bitcoin, the why behind it, the reason it's so powerful, I don't know where Bitcoin's going to end up. I don't know if Bitcoin's going to stop at $1 million a coin, $5 million a coin. Is it going to go to a $1 trillion coin? I don't know. I have no idea where the end market cap and the end price per coin of Bitcoin will be. What I know is that its value and its store of value to people will continue to increase. And it's cool that it has miners. That's what makes it decentralized. That's what makes it accountable to people and stops any one person or one entity from having too much power. The point is that this argument made by Vitalik is not the reason that Bitcoin will fail. I'm not saying Bitcoin can't fail, but I am saying unless you have a good, strong, fundamental understanding of Bitcoin's foundations, you will get sucked into thinking this is true, and it is not true. So I want to hear how Vitalik responds to this in the future. I don't assume he's going to watch this video. If you do, Vitalik, we still love you. We still love Ethereum.
What up, Vitalik?
You're wrong. I want to see how he responds, because I'm very certain he's going to get a lot of backlash to this. That's all we're going to talk about there. I'm sure that this conversation will continue to develop on our show over the next couple of weeks. It will be something to keep an eye on. However, there are some other things we need to do as we wrap out the show. First of all, the HODL trophy does go to me once again, week 2 in a row. At 10.55, the price was sitting at about 20,300. That's about 1,000 over what I predicted at 19.3. I thought we were going to break that 19.5 level, but I was the highest predictor of the three of us in the room, because T. Shroom said 18.8, and Smay went super bearish at 17,500.
I think you manipulated the market to win that trophy.
I don't have that ability, so that's something that's not true.
You can't prove that.
I think you could look at my bank account and prove it.
When was the last time somebody won the HODL Trophy 2 weeks in a row?
I did it a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just another Friday for Tim.
It's just a number. I mean, it's becoming a normal thing.
Yeah.
This is getting comfortable just sitting over here on my desk, even though the desk is new because we just got in this set about a week and some change ago. The concept of Tim's desk owning the HODL Trophy, it's a normal thing at this point.
Yeah.
I need you guys to step up your game.
We'll see how long that lasts.
I did see somebody in the chat saying they got pretty much like within $100 of their prediction. So if you guessed anywhere between 20,300 or 20,400, kudos to you. You are the real winner here. And thank you so much for continuing to participate with us. Every single Tuesday we make those predictions, and these are not made for financial advice. Just, none of us are making trades based off of that. That is a ridiculously hard game because guess what? The price was way lower this morning, and we have no idea where the price will end today. We were just trying to have a game between the three of us to predict where it would be at 10:55. And if you want to play that with us every single week, make sure you tune into Tuesdays. You wait till the end of the show, and then you play that along with us. Guys, that's all we have for you in this show, but I'm excited because, today's Friday, last show of the week. It is sad. We're going to have to wrap it up here. I'm going to throw it to Smay here in just a second because I know we have something else we got to talk about. But I want to make sure you guys are excited about next week because we got some great guests coming in. I'm not going to tell you which days. I'll tell you on Monday. So you got to make sure you tune in on Monday to hear which days. But the guests you will see if you tune into Coffee and Crypto will, number one, be Frankie Candles, Caleb Franzen. I'll go ahead and give you that day because Caleb Franzen is going to be every single Wednesday from here on out. Get ready for great Wednesdays every single week. But we're going to have Frankie Candles on the show. We're going to have CVO on the show. We're going to have, who is my other person I have on here? We're going to have Harry, Crypto Vet, back on the show. And a new favorite of mine, every time Harry comes on, we're going to be playing the drinking game. That's not with alcohol. If you play with alcohol, that's up to you. We'll use coffee.
Little Baileys in your morning brew.
And the game, in case you guys didn't know, is every time he uses a wordy dirty, we take a sip.
Oh, wordy dirty.
So that is what I'm super excited for all of you guys to experience next week. Make sure you tune in. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single piece of content. Smay, before we wrap it up, do you have an announcement for us?
Yeah, I have an announcement. The announcement is you didn't give me a chance to read Super Chats, and now here it is.
Oh, yeah, Super Chats. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
so, but don't worry. Smay cares about our members, and Smay will read them.
Go for it.
I'm sorry, I'm being passive aggressive, Tim. It's all right. So we have from Joker's Performance says, good morning. Need more members in Club DeFi.
Yes.
You
100%.
I mean, there's some big. We haven't been marketing it, and we haven't been talking about it a lot because with being in beta, and we had some issues with the website. We are fixing on that. We're very close to getting that fixed, but there is a way. We have had people sign up. We have still, even though we're not advertising it and we're not really talking much about it because we want to make sure we fix all those issues. That doesn't stop people from emailing our support at cryptojebb.com. We're changing that email here soon, but you can do that. You'll be talking with our customer service rep, Anthony, and he can give you all the information you need. So it is still purchasable, but there are some big changes coming. And I'll give you guys a little bit. We weren't even supposed to market it. I will tell you, if you're thinking about getting it, I would consider going ahead and getting it soon because there are some changes coming here soon that I think there's going to be good changes, but I think a lot of people who are purchasing it right now are having some great options that maybe won't be available down the road. But anyone who is currently a member, just in case you were a member and you're freaking out about what I just said, you guys got a very sweet deal coming. It's a complicated system to sign up, but if you want to, I would do that sooner rather than later. So, what are the other super chats?
And we have one last one, and then we can wrap it out. So we have here from Greg Jenkins, says, Vitalik wants to distract people from the leaks on Twitter showing ETH will be centralized after the merge and leave it to attacks like Sol. Thoughts?
That's pretty much what we've said. Yeah. We didn't get into the leaks on Twitter as much. They're not really leaks. They're just hot takes that have always existed in the if you go down into the development Twitter, where people who are actually developing blockchain, they've been saying this for a long time, and also critics of Ethereum. But we just, the crypto community's young, and so we don't like to listen to critics. We like to listen to the hopium side, but people have been saying this for a while, and it's true, but it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world if it's true, because it's still Ethereum. It's still extremely integral to Web3. I mean, that's the long and short of it. And it doesn't mean that the centralization issue can't also be solved in the long run. I mean, airdrops are a thing. You just have to continue to be optimistic and also be questionable and skeptical where it's warranted.
Well, that wasn't the last one, Smake, because there's literally one right above that from Joker's Performance. Said Department of Defense did a study on hacking on Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's all he said. He didn't tell us what the result of the study was, but we'll have to go look that up. I didn't know there was a study done.
My bad. Your answer to the first one was long, so I forgot to read the second one from him.
Yeah.
Well, that's good though. Jokers, we love you.
Yeah. Well, guys, that is all we have for you on the show, but make sure you guys tune in every single week for all of our content, just so you know. And I think there's been some confusion about this. So as it stands right now, we will let you know if there's any updates to the schedule. But every single weekday of the week, that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we will have this morning show where we come to you every single day on time at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, as long as YouTube lets us. If they shut us down, we can't control that. But we will be on time. And we'll be in this office. So make sure you show up for that. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have our Afternoon Brew episodes where on Mondays, we are going into crypto foundations. There's some phenomenal content coming to you guys every single Monday that helps you go back to the basics of understanding crypto. Make sure you don't just watch it yourself and leave a like and a comment. Share it with all your friends. Fridays, though, and that's coming out tonight at 6 p.m., Fridays are our weekend wrap-up. So if you missed any show or if you wondered if you missed any key stories, we put everything together for you in one video so you can make sure you stay up to date on everything crypto. Wednesdays, we do some deep dives into projects. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3:30, we are doing interviews with some great crypto experts on ways that you can continue to up your knowledge about investing, about trading, looking at deep projects to continue to research and grow and continue to develop that hashtag FinSolve, also known as financial sovereignty, where you have control over your money, not your money having control over you. That is all we have for you in this video, but guess what? I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.